We are back again for another episode of the Well Below Average podcast with Nick Nepic and me, Adam Ish. Nick, how are you doing today?
I am doing good here for another week. Feeling good. I just had some Thai food, so I'm in a pretty good mood. Do you like Thai food?
I've probably had it, but I could not tell you a definite time when I've had it.
Okay. You can get pretty standard stuff. Like my wife gets fried rice, for example. So if you like fried rice, you can find some at a Thai restaurant. But yeah, pretty good mood. Had some good Thai food ready to go. Ready to talk some stuff at a well below average pace.
So what's your first audible tangent? What is your most exotic food you've ever eaten?
Like style of food or like specific dish or either?
Either.
So I don't think I've really had anything like, I've eaten like cow tongue, but that's somewhat common. I have eaten like intestine, but again, not like that exotic. Nothing too crazy like that comes to mind right away.
Yeah, I've had obviously my wife's Hispanic, so we eat tripe, which is cow intestine, quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I guess tripe is, yeah. I actually love it in tacos. It's really good in tacos.
My younger kids love it. My oldest daughter cannot stand it. Well, I think she's okay with it, but she liked it when she was younger, and she found out what it was, and then immediately hated it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You liked it. It doesn't change anything. You already. Yeah, I don't know, like most exotic style. I've had alligator, which is pretty.
Yeah, I've had that.
Frog. Have you ever had frog?
I think so, but not any time in the past like decade for sure.
So yeah, I went to Lake Worth High School, which is home of the Bullfrogs, and there's a Bullfrog Cafe down the road, served frog legs. That, and I've had Iranian food in the country of Qatar, which is founded by an Iranian prince, and it was weird. It was good, but it was a different type of food. It's all like hummus-based stuff.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah. But we're not going to talk about food today. We've got a very good show for everybody. We've got Pete Freedman from Central Track going to jump on here in a few minutes with us. We got our news segment, as always. We're going to recap week 2 of the NFL, and I think we're going to finish our picks, go with our wild card and our Super Bowl picks today. Is that correct?
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. And the run sheet, did I send you? Was it last week's?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No. Maybe it was. I feel like it looked. There was something. I don't know. I looked at it like pretty closely, but that was like hours ago when you sent it.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, the first story that I remember seeing was the cat one. And I don't know if there was a new cat story, if we're going with a theme here, or if that was the old cat story.
No, my Mac does not like my format, and whenever I try to put links on there, it says it's corrupted. I thought I had duplicated it and saved it and sent it to you, but it didn't. It just kept the old. Yeah, so I did go fix it before the show, so you don't know what our stories are going to be beforehand.
No idea.
So before Pete jumps on, you want to go ahead and talk nicely about our sponsors.
Yes. So over your right shoulder is my new favorite sponsor. I guess they're not very new anymore, but Rodeo Coffee. You see it says small batch roasted. It's roasted right here in Fort Worth. They've got several different roasts. My favorite, their most standard, is the Colombian. Had it this morning. Had 3 cups of it this morning actually, so I was pretty wired. But it's a locally owned, locally roasted, small batch roasted coffee. Find them at any farmer's market. They were somewhere today. There was some brewery today. I saw on Instagram. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Check them out. Rodeo Coffee, the well above average coffee of our podcast.
Yes, and while you're drinking that coffee, why don't you try dressing to impress with our apparel sponsor? It's Local Menace, a Dallas-based artist-owned apparel streetwear company. Hung out with Justin a lot yesterday at a pop up. We got bored, so I just hang out at his tent when I'm bored. Um, Hung out, yeah, the great stuff. Got some new hats called Dad Hats out. New T-shirt is coming out for Halloween. I got to peep the top secret design. Really cool. Look for that at localmenace.com. They're hell-bent on destroying your wardrobe with all their dumb gear. Be part of their dumb luck crew. And if you want to take advantage of 25% discount, go ahead and use Beard Crew. That's BEEEEARD Crew to get 25% off your purchase at localmenace.com. That lets them know that we sent you, and you get a nice fat discount. So check them out. They got some cool stuff coming up for Halloween, for Christmas. So grab some Local Menace streetwear at localmenace.com. All right. Well, we still got a couple minutes till Pete jumps on, and I wanted to ask you something. There was it was your birthday this last week? You took the whole week off?
Not quite. My birthday is this Wednesday, but I had days to use. So I took the week off, and so we celebrated my birthday a few days early. I guess a couple days ago on Friday.
Okay, and I saw you need to give us your Tesla testimonial.
Oh, yeah.
Drive a Tesla around. I guess your wife rented it for the day, or what was?
Yes. So, an app called Turo. Have you heard of this? Turo, Turo.
You can borrow people's cars or something.
Yeah, it's like Airbnb but for a car.
Okay.
You can rent basically anything, and in fact, if you just need to rent a car, I don't really know what like Hertz is like these days, but reasonable prices for like just a regular car. But anyway, you can rent a Tesla as well. So my wife rented a Tesla. We got to drive it around for a few hours, and it was the Model 3 edition, which is the, I guess you could say, most affordable. Still pretty expensive, but most affordable of the cars. And I am a Tesla enthusiast. Gravel to my wife all the time about how I'll never be able to afford one, but I do love them. So we drove it around, drove it, to the Dallas area, drove it back, because we could go up to 300 miles. So we wanted to, get a good drive in, and it was incredible. So have you ever been in one? Do you know much about them?
Mm-hmm.
So all electric, obviously, but they are, the get up on a Tesla is amazing. 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. I didn't quite take it 0 to 60, but on the highway, I did not do this. But, slow lane, get right in front of somebody and just fly in the left lane. Did not do that a couple of times. And it's almost like a roller coaster. You'll hit the back of the seat. It really whips around nicely. And that's not to mention all the other features on the screen. Not to be an Elon Musk advertisement here, but yeah, Tesla's really incredible. Would love to have one. So if you want to donate one to our podcast, you certainly can. But they're great cars, and I won't say the price here. I don't want to out my wife, but the price, and I can tell you this later, Adam, was really not that bad for that nice of a car, for how long we had it. So we had a great time, had a blast driving around, and just enjoyed all of the crazy features of a Tesla, and then got back into my 2002 F-150 that has 210,000 miles on it after that. So it was a good time.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I've never driven one. Been curious, but I'm like you. I drive an 04 Ram 1500 with close to 200,000 miles on it. I love that beast. It's loud. Get about 4 inches to the gallon.
Does it have AC?
It does. It does. The
oh,
AC,
then you're good. Yeah.
But the AC's funny. So you have it on 1 and it blows out. It kind of out. You put it on 4, blast it all the way up. It's really loud, but the amount of air that comes out is no different from 1 to 4, from max to min. So I probably have a cabin air filter issue. One of those quirks that makes it unique.
Vintage even. But we had a good time doing that on Friday. So I'm a big time Tesla fan. What can I say? So if we are waiting on Pete, we could get to our debate unless he's ready to hop on.
So let's get to our debate. He just texted me. We're gonna be 15 minutes behind. So yeah, we'll give him a few more
Well,
minutes.
well, we can then let's do this. Either we can go to news stories, which I can't because I don't have them, or we could do the debate. Whatever you think is everything's best here.
Let's go debate because news usually. I think we kind of ramble a lot during the news.
No, never. So you put on the run sheet a debate, but that was last week's, was it not, or was that this week's? I don't know. So you're gonna have to.
I left it on just as an idea, but I know you usually have your debate an idea, so I didn't want to.
Oh no. No, I like this one. So why don't you present it, and we'll go from there.
All right. So this week's well below average debate is, and as you know, we debate the most nonsensical and unimpactful things that could be imagined. Right? We've talked about toilet seat up and down. What was last week?
Pizza. We did pizza. We did like a deep dish thin crust.
Yeah, normal crust.
Yep.
Done a couple. This week is equally as mundane and I don't know what words I could use, but we're gonna talk about Q-tips. Are you? No, the Q-tip on the box suggests that you do not stick it into the ear.
Right. I am PSA. Vehemently agree. A friend of the show, Shippy, Jonathan Shipman. I hope he wouldn't mind me telling the story. One time he got severely injured using a Q-tip. He was cleaning out his ear and like turned, or somebody said something, he turned and hit his elbow or something like that and jammed it into his ear and like severely injured his ear, was like bleeding. He's fine. He recovered. But like it was a big deal several years ago. And that is the reason you don't stick Q-tips in your ear. Like there is no reason you need to put a Q-tip inside your ear. My wife and I fight about this. It's probably what will end our marriage. She every night, cleans out her ear with a Q-tip. Not to be gross, but it drives me insane. I've never once done that. In fact, I guess other than like putting on some like ointments, I don't know what you'd even use Q-tips for if you're not supposed to do that, which you're not. But anyway, do we disagree on this here? Is it an actual debate?
It is, because I'm a Q-tip getting in there, man. I get stuff. I got to get that stuff out of there.
Do you find it actually works?
So I have a technique. I don't go cramming it in there. Like sometimes I'll peel the fuzz down a little bit so it's not so bulky. But if I feel something in my ear, or I get, again, not to be gross, but I'll go in there and fish it out.
And you're able to catch something and you get it out of there.
I've caught stuff. I've it sounds disgusting, but I've pulled that thing out like bad before. Like, oh my gosh.
Now I will say I have. Have you ever used those? I don't think you're supposed to do this with these either. But like those ear cones, you like put in your ear, you can light it on fire and like sucks everything out. Have you ever used one of those before?
You know what? I've heard those are scams, so I've never used one. So
my mom would use those on me all the time as a kid. She'd get like a paper plate and cut a hole in it, and it doesn't like burn like a flame. It just kind of burns down. Yeah. But like that way, if anything dropped off, but it would like clean out my ears like crazy. The next level, though, and by far the best. Have you ever like if the doctor had them like do the water and like flush everything out?
Mm-mm.
Oh my, that is amazing. I've more than once have had it like my ear is very plugged up, and they just get like I don't really know what it is. I guess like a syringe and just continually to put warm water in your ear, and eventually it loosens everything and everything just flows out. And it's by far the best way to clean your ears. Q-tips are not that. You should stop putting Q-tips in your ear.
No, I won't.
No, but
I've done this long.
Truly, like, so there's only a couple of things. Q-tips either A, are still around because people are like you, like my wife, putting them in their ears and not having issues and still buying them, or B, there's another reason that or another use for them that I clearly don't know. Like, I mean, I use them sometimes to like put like if I need to like glue something, or I'll like use a Q-tip to try to get it like right where it needs to be. but that's like once a year, maybe. Like other than that, I don't know what you're using Q-tips for.
My ear. Now, I don't want to get too personal or gross, but I've got like a toe issue with the nail. I'm getting
Hmm.
old. I'm getting old man ailments, like little dumb things. So I got the toe fungus, and so I apply the cream via Q-tip, um, because it stinks.
Okay.
I don't get hands, so I use it for that and my ears. I don't know. I stick them in straws and shoot them at my kids sometimes. You know.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm in the minority here, even though I'm in the right. It's on the packaging. It's like any doctor would tell you. What is an ear doctor called?
Ear, nose, and throat
I
doctors, aren't they? Just at the.
beats me. They would agree with me. So basically, what I'm saying is, I'm a doctor. You should not put Q-tips in your ear. We'll even have to get our friend Shippy to endorse this because it's a can lead to serious injury, like those when you see commercials on TV for all the medicines. It's like, this will cure your whatever, and then it's like 5 minutes of, but you could also have depression, anxiety, upset stomach, headaches, partial blindness, loss of taste, loss of smell. But like, they list all these things. But please buy this medication. It's like that. But yeah, that's where I stand on this debate. And this is really the first time we've had like a real disagreement.
Yeah. I hate to hear that you're wrong. I don't agree with the. It's big Q-tip trying to keep us down. Just to.
Yeah, that's true. They want to divide us and keep this debate alive. Now I'm sitting here in our guest room and I see this. This is somewhat related. I see some chapstick right here. Do you have a preferred brand of chapstick? Because my wife only buys Blistex. That is all she will buy. That is all she will use. Are you a Blistex person?
Yeah, Blistex and the blue little round. That's all I like.
So she gets like the actual tube, but it's Blistex.
Yeah.
I am a Carmex person.
I don't hate Carmex.
It like makes, I don't know. People say they're like addictive. Like it makes your lips like all tingly, like a very distinct feeling. Yeah, love that. But we were talking about bathroom accessories, so it made me think of that.
You made me think of something. Pete's gonna jump on in a couple minutes. I'll bring him in. But the ear thing. Have you ever tried one of those like nose?
Yeah, no. I've seen the commercials, but I have not.
I saw one they're like $100. I was at CVS the other day, and I was like, really wanted one. Like,
no, I have tried have you ever tried like the neti pot, like the little teapot, and you like pour it in your nose?
No.
Yeah, those
principle
do not work. I don't think they work at all. Yeah. Like severe congestion, really nothing helps severe congestion. Like decongestant, hot shower. I mean, you're just stuck.
Have you used the little nasal sprays? The ones they say are real addictive?
I've used a lot of nasal spray. Never got addicted though.
Oh, I love nasal spray. That stuff clears me out. Like it's like more air than I've ever had in my too much air.
Wow.
When I get real stopped up, those are my go-to.
So before Pete hops on, real quickly, because I know we haven't had a lot lately, are you watching anything? Or is there anything that we need to be watching? I have one suggestion, but let me hear. So
go for it, and I'll tell you what I've been watching.
This week, it hasn't started yet. This week, Wednesday, is the 41st season of Survivor kicks off. I don't know if you've known this in our friendship. Oh, stop. Do not get me started, Adam. Survivor is a staple in this house. It is a staple on Wednesday nights. Jeff Probst should run for office. It's going to be a great season. Can't wait. If you watch the show, maybe I'll have to start a Wednesday night, some live tweeting of Survivor. I've dabbled in it, but I actually don't know if I'll be able to watch it every Wednesday. Babies and stuff, whatever. Might have to watch it on Thursdays. But either way, Survivor comes back this Wednesday, a few days away. We had a whole year and a little bit off. Can't wait. That's what I'm excited. I'm not watching really anything currently, but can't wait for that.
One time when I was on vacation, when I was about 17, we were in Florida on our timeshare, and my older sister and stepmom, there's only one TV, started watching Survivor, and I watched an episode of Survivor 20 years ago. That was it.
So not to make this a Survivor. It's a completely different show than it was back then. It is a social game. It is not about surviving. Like, I could care less. They could be in a hotel for all I care. But Survivor, can't wait. Another great season, 41 seasons. Just real excited about that. So if you watch the show, hit me up on Twitter, and we'll have to start something, a little weekly hangout of sorts to watch Survivor. And Adam can't be a part of it, so it'll be without Adam.
I guess
so I guess we can preview a little bit. Tell the fine people what we will be talking with Pete Freedman about here shortly.
Okay, so I'm about to call him right now. It was a tragic day in the world tragic week in the world of entertainment. One of my favorite comedians of all time, not really mainstream, very popular amongst comedians. Norm Macdonald passed away at 61 from leukemia, I believe. Yeah, no one really knew he was having it, or he was sick. 61 years old. Just so we're gonna bring Pete on because you were not really the big Norm Macdonald guy.
No, I mean, know of him, obviously, like, was all over social media. One thing I found interesting, maybe not the right word, but like, his battle with cancer was very private. Like he said, not a lot of people, it wasn't very public. Like, it was a bit of a surprise. I found it interesting that, like, how long ago was it that Chadwick Boseman, kind of the same thing happened? Very private battle with cancer. And we found out he passed away. There's a part of me that always, wishes that these celebrities, these icon, maybe not right, like the person that, like, means a lot to you, obviously, in Norm Macdonald, like, maybe we would want to know that kind of stuff. But then there's another part of me that respects that. Like, I want to keep this private. Like, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, because there are, maybe this is their thought. There's thousands of people around the U.S. and millions around the world that suffer from this same thing. But quite frankly, nobody cares. There's a part of me that respects that too. But obviously, both very, very tragic.
Yeah, he was very clear a couple of years ago in the middle of it, and no one really knew. He got in a little spat with another comedian that was using their cancer diagnosis, like, in their comedy, and got upset with that. He took exception to that, and he basically said, like, if I ever have anything, not that I tell you if I did, I'm not going to tell. And he's what he said. He said he's not going to tell anybody if he ever gets anything, and he thinks it's more of a burden on your family and friends to know. Just, you're there one day and you're not next. And that was his thoughts on it. So I know everybody's kind of got their, the way, but maybe that's what he thought was best for his family, just to be there one day and gone the next, and not make them go through all the, the tough, the process.
Yeah, and at a certain point, like, surely he obviously lost his life, but when a person gets very sick, those family members have to speak for, Norm Macdonald or Chadwick Boseman or whoever it might be, whenever the press is trying to figure out, what's going on, how they're doing, if it's been something that's very public. And so that's, you end up burdening other people with that.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and bring on Pete here. Pete Freedman from Central Track. How you doing today?
I'm good. Are we recording right now?
We're already recording, man. We're in this.
Yeah.
I mean, we can edit out anything.
No, it's fine. It's good to be back.
All right, and we got Nick this time. So,
Yeah, I'm actually here this time. I actually do exist.
Yeah, I was fake Nick last time.
so we brought you on today to talk, chat for a little bit, but we really wanted to talk, and Nick and I were kind of prefacing the passing of Norm Macdonald. I hesitate to call him a comedy genius, but that's probably what he was, but certainly a legend. Saturday Night Live, Adam Sandler movies, Dirty Work, Screwed, which was one of my favorites. So we want to bring you on to talk a little Norm, because I think you're kind of more in that wheelhouse of the Norm fandom.
I mean, I suppose. I would say you're spot on about both legend and genius. I think that's been the uniform kind of reaction to all this. It's interesting. I know that I'm familiar with local comedians. I'm definitely not like a member of the local comedy scene. I wouldn't go that far, but he's always been kind of a comics comic, so to speak. What I think was really interesting about the reaction to his death was how widespread the fandom really was. I don't know, he's certainly someone who has been present in pop culture fans' lives for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think it took me by surprise how much social media was flooded with tributes to him. Do you guys agree with that? Were you surprised by that, or was where do you guys fall?
I guess I wasn't super surprised. I know he wasn't super mainstream. I'm using the word super too much. He wasn't a mainstream comic like what's the guy that had the drug problem? Tall, skinny kid. Kid probably older than me.
That could be like any of them.
Yeah. I can see his face. My daughter loves him. But your normal,
Davidson? Are you talking about Pete Davidson?
Well, him too. No, the Mulaney. John
Mulaney.
Oh, okay, yeah, totally.
He wasn't mainstream like that. He had his little pop in the '90s, but never caught on. But his stand-up, and when he was on Conan, all those Conan clips you see, and then his SNL bits, especially with the Jeopardy, just
yeah,
the timing.
Kurt Ferguson is iconic.
Yes.
His Weekend Update stint was fairly short-lived, but iconic for just the way that he kept going in on OJ. I mean, he was the Weekend Update guy during the OJ trial, which was wild. And the classic line he had about that after the verdict came in was, "Well, it's official. Murder is finally legal in the state of California." He went, so he hosted the ESPYs, so he was fairly mainstream. The joke there, he had another OJ joke there that I loved, which was he was talking about Charles Woodson being the first defensive Heisman Trophy winner, and he was congratulating him, and he said, "No one can ever take that away from you unless you kill your wife and a waiter." So, he kept going in on OJ throughout. I think he definitely reveled in being a little bit on the outside. I don't know if you guys followed him on Twitter, but it was like he was really into golf, and he would tweet just updates on like standings and like Jordan Spieth bogeyed the third, and that would be the whole tweet. But I think that was even an act of comedy as well. He was certainly a subversive comedian, which I think is true throughout his like kind of dry delivery, but also like his legendary Bob Saget roast, which was all just like hack jokes from the 40s, for 20 minutes. So he dabbled in the mainstream. I think with Dirty Work, he kind of swung for it. That movie became a cult hit. But through that, I think he kind of reveled in his position just outside of the mainstream, and he loved being appreciated by the mainstream and also testing those boundaries. I think what he's maybe best known for, and rightly so, were those late night appearances. He was just one of the all-time late night guests. I mean, I'm trying to think of like who's up there. I think like Charles Grodin, who we also recently lost, was just an amazing late night guest. I know through Carson and Letterman, and I'm a big nerd for this stuff, so I care about this stuff. But like Amy Sedaris on Letterman is an all-timer, and then Norm with everybody, but especially with Conan, is incredible too. I mean, the sheer kind of fame of like the moth joke alone from one Conan appearance is bonkers. I don't know. Surely you guys are familiar with the moth joke. You made it. Are you not, Adam? Because you just kind of like where you.
Well, no, not off the top of my head.
Well, I'm not. I won't tell it. I've told it many times myself. I don't do it anywhere near Norm's justice. But look it up after this.
Okay.
Otherwise, this podcast will be about an hour extra too long, because that's the bit of the joke. I only recently looked this up because I was reading about Norm's passing, and the moth joke has come up in a lot of the material, and it's what's referred to as like a shaggy dog story, where it takes you on a big, sweeping arc, and the whole thing hinges on like one small detail that is like forgotten all along. So I think that's the thing. Is he's like, I know he was a real student of comedy and a real like, appreciator of comedy, and I know that he had like blowback to other comedians who he thought were hacks, and he would call them out on it. And he was, he just, I think he's kind of the thinking man's comic, not in the sense that his jokes were all that thoughtful, but it's more, although they were, but it's more that it was like the action of comedy was part of it as well, like the boldness to do things a certain way, as opposed to necessarily just the payoff of a punchline.
Yeah, his timing. I always thought his timing was what made him unique, because it wasn't your standard. He had his own rhythm of every joke. He had his own rhythm in every story, and it seemed like even when he was telling a story, I was watching on Letterman. Talking about his kid going to Disneyland, there's a joke in there. There's that bit, and just his timing made stuff that seemed normally be a mundane, just kind of story, hilarious. And that's really what I liked about listening to him, and really found enjoyable, that just offbeat rhythm of his comedy.
I think that's a big part of it. I think a lot of the more iconic comedians are ones who have recognizable rhythms, right? You think about like a Mitch Hedberg, or like even like a Chris Rock has a rhythm to his jokes. Like you can kind of like, when you think about Chris Rock, you can think about the way he delivers his jokes, and the same with Norm. And Norm, the thing about Norm was, I don't think he'll go down as like a incredible stand-up so much as just like a comedic mind in the way that he brought comedy to everything he does. It's like there certainly are stand-up specials, but I don't think any, like, he doesn't have, like a Chappelle killing him softly, or a Chris Rock bigger and blacker to his name, or Eddie Murphy raw, or whatever. It's like kind of like the collection of work rather than a single like standout piece. And I think that's part of it too, is because he was a part of the appreciation for him too, is that his entire body of work was the work. It wasn't necessarily one collection, although there certainly are highlights with certain jokes that stand out. But that's an interesting thing, maybe, in that there's a really zoomed in and the really zoomed out way to appreciate him, as opposed to perhaps an album, or a specific movie, although certainly Dirty Work is up there.
All this, and it makes a lot of sense. I can't think of any real comedy specials, although like you said, there are some, but just he seemed to pop up in unique places, and it was always enjoyable, and took me by surprise. And I will say that's one of the first times a celebrity death has been, like, probably since I was a teenager and Kurt Cobain, that hit me like, wow, I kind of had a tough time accepting it.
Yeah, well, part of it is that he kept it secret, right? This is like a 9-year-long cancer battle, and not that he owes anyone to share that. In fact, I think they might have mentioned this on the ticket at one point when I was listening this week. They were talking about he's given, I don't know if it was an interview, I think it was just on his own like Netflix show where he talked about how he felt like Tig Notaro being applauded for having a whole bit around her cancer is really cheap, and that a much more reputable thing was just to like not use sympathy for laughs, but just to not to put that burden on your family. And that's clearly what he did, although apparently, people within his very close circle might have known. But it's, I don't know. I hate to put it this way, but I'm certainly intrigued by celebrity death. I remember in 2017, it was like, oh my God, the biggest year for celebrity death ever. I don't know if you guys remember that when there was just like a rash of celebrity deaths. And it's interesting because I don't know that despite the pandemic, even, there has been like a big deluge of beloved figures lost. I mean, certainly there have been some, but Norm was an interesting guy because I think everyone had their own individual appreciation for him. So it's a little more personal than just like, oh, this, movie star who we all liked. I think everyone who liked Norm felt like they were in on the joke.
Yeah.
Just for them, as opposed to, oh, yeah, sure, we all love Seinfeld. You know what I mean? Or sure, yeah, oh, Friends, yeah, great show, totally. But like Norm, it's like you're not spoon-fed Norm. You kind of have to seek out Norm in many ways. Maybe in the 90s on SNL, you got a little bit more of that. But since then, certainly it was more of a concerted effort to get that. So I think that might be part of why it hit people a certain way.
Yeah, it's definitely a shock and tragic. But so we didn't just bring you on to talk about Norm. Anything else going on in the world of Central Track? You've been out in new bars.
No, not really. We got to, let's see, what's new with Central Track. We've just been, covering the city like we normally do. There's always something in this town, isn't there? It's, watching the Cowboys earlier, so it's always a whole thing that we have to keep an eye on throughout the fall. Big win, boys, so way to go. But otherwise, I don't know. It's just, nothing specific. We're just out here covering the town and scene as we normally do. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what we have planned for this coming week, or anything in particular. I don't think it's anything too crazy. And really, one thing that I've learned is I don't want to commit to like, oh, we'll have this story on Thursday, because if it's not out by Thursday, then I'm going to feel like a total douche for not getting it and just a disappointment. But yeah, we've got a few things in the works. The State Fair of Texas launches next week, so I'm sure we'll be revisiting some of our 50-part series on why the State Fair sucks.
I'm about to say,
whoa!
I
can't wait for that.
Nick, are you not familiar? This is
I feel like I've heard this, but like I'm kind of like connecting I'm remembering and connecting, and like it kind of just hit me all at once. Maybe because we like didn't have the State Fair for a while, and now it's back, and I feel like I should be excited. But I was actually about to say, I feel like nobody's really talking about it. Like, maybe
I've seen a lot of it, but that might be because I'm aware of it. It's back after last year. They took it off and they did like a drive-through. This year they're back. Last year at the drive-through, Big Tex wore a mask. This year he will not be wearing a mask because at 55 feet tall, he is more than 6 feet away from anyone near him. The State Fair of Texas has also gone so far as to imply that Big Tex has been vaccinated, which is just absurd. They have released statements this year to say that they, you are entering the grounds at your own risk, and they are not to be held legally liable should you catch COVID on their grounds. And then I do know this is one positive perhaps, although it's Dallas County doing it and not the State Fair. There will be a vaccination tent set up like near Big Tex at the fair And if you get vaccinated, last I heard, I need to double check if it's still the case, you'll get 20 tickets for your trouble, which is great that we're rewarding people who have waited, what, a year and a half to get vaccinated. So, no, I guess half a year to get vaccinated. And, that's, a beer. So, way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
maybe a corn dog.
Better or worse. So we've done more than 13,000 articles in 10 years at Central Track. Only 50 of them about the State Fair of Texas and specifically why it sucks. But yeah, that's something people love to attach to us. It's we are the kind of lone voice on an island who are out here talking about how much it's crap. But
is there an origin to this? Like something that like made you like there was a happening or a thing that started all that, or one day where you're just like, you know what, this isn't really that great?
What it came down to, and actually if you check our archives, we historically have done some stories that were like we tried to do like some like state fair like a pro type stuff. So it'd be like, here's where the cheapest beer is and things like that. And like we used to have a segment called Street Style, and where we interviewed people about like cool outfits that they wore, and we even once interviewed Big Tex about his outfit. But it really became a point of frustration for me because it was just like where every media outlet in this town just goes fucking gaga over this thing every year. It's a major drain on resources. They take money from the city and like don't pay it back. Like it's Fair Park is crumbling because of the State Fair's inability to follow through on their promises to upkeep that infrastructure. It's this huge amount of acreage right next to the heart of downtown that is wasted because we have to keep it dedicated to the fair a couple of weeks out of the year. Like, and they have first dibs on these grounds. I mean, you can read off the 50 reasons, but really it was just a matter of, I think, just a reaction to everyone just talking about how great this thing is. And I was living in Deep Ellum at the time that we launched the series, I believe, and like specifically on the eastern edge of Deep Ellum, kind of close to the Double Wide, and just like the headaches that it causes with idiots parking everywhere and walking them down there. And it's just like, it's just a nightmare. Like it can be all right, I guess, if I think people are conditioned to like it because they get a day off from school as a kid around here, and they equate not having to go to school with the state fair, and that's like a fun like diversion. But it's not great, guys. It sucks.
I have a great bet payoff right now. I just thought of this.
I mean, I've been to the state fair, if that's what you're...
No, like between me and Nick, I don't know what it could be, but loser has to go to the state fair with Pete and listen to him all day complain.
Loser has to read all 50 of our articles, submit a report to me about what they learned.
Go to the state fair and read all 50 and submit your own reaction to each of them in real time. I'm personally a big fan. I say a big fan. I was a big fan as a kid. Well, hold on. You kind of like as a kid, I did love the state fair, but now that you're like, I hear you say like day off school, like parents took off work, we got to go to the state fair. It was just a good time, and it was the middle of the week and
groomed as a child to support this archaic institution that is a drain on the city. I even engaged my friend Melissa, and former contributor with Central Track, is literally an ambassador for the fair. And a couple of years ago, we did an onstage hour-and-a-half long debate about the state fair. We did it at the Double Wide, and it's on YouTube if anyone wants to look it up.
I'm somewhere in between because I remember that, but I just took the day off. My parents weren't going to drive me to Dallas. It wasn't happening. I think I went once, and that was on a band trip. We played in the Cotton Bowl for a band competition. But I have really no strong feelings either way. I just don't like crowded places, so it's kind of like out for me in general.
I mean, I personally love to go somewhere where I can't enjoy myself unless I spend $150.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that from the comfort of my chair and the air conditioning.
There's a shit
Um,
ton more I can get out of $150 than that. Then go to the fucking State Fair of Texas.
we
I
did
love how
cover.
it celebrates Texas too with its things like mattress sales and hot
Right.
tub salesmen.
And those massage chairs.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love nothing, man. When I think of a massage chair, I think of like I think of the Alamo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete,
So I was going to say, I guess we're not going to be talking about much of the state fair on the show. I'm down. I'm down on the state fair. I'm out.
yeah, you know
I'm,
what? I have this perfect segment because Pete and I have
Yeah,
talked
I'm out.
about digging into this podcast stuff, doing some video things, and I just want to get Pete out there live reporting from the state fair and just like really ripping into him as a special podcast for Central Track.
Maybe. I'll be honest. So we launched that series in, let me do the math backwards. I think we launched that series in 2017, and the idea was we'll do a reason it sucks for every day that the fair is on. So we did 24, the 24-part series, and then we took the year off the following year in 2018, and we just kind of like reshared a lot of old stories, and people kept like discovering it through that. And then in 2019, we decided to run it back, and it was 24 more reasons. And then last year we added 2 more reasons. One being that it's a literal joke, and we talked about how the new Borat movie, they went to the State Fair of Texas.
Yeah.
And we also reviewed the drive-through and how disappointing that was. So now we're up to around 50. I've kind of said everything I need to say about it at this point, but that content's still, that's still fresh and relevant, so I'll share the hell out of it. Don't want to see that stuff, you can put Central Track on mute on social media for the next 24 days. Otherwise, all we're doing is asking people to, engage in some critical thought. And, hey, maybe it's not a great thing that we celebrate this institution that only let Black people attend 1 day out of 3 weeks since before 1970. And that is also the home to like the single largest KKK gathering in history, and is a major blight on the neighborhoods surrounding it. And I can keep going, but otherwise visit centraltrack.com for more.
Well, Pete, it's always great to have you on. I hate to run you off, but we got a deadline.
Yeah, totally. No, I know what deadlines are. So, hey.
But I appreciate your insights, and as always, thanks for coming on with us, man.
Yeah, look up some Norm stuff on YouTube, and don't go to the State Fair. Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks, Pete.
All right, see you, Pete.
Later.
Man, so we don't like the state fair, I guess. I never knew that. So, good insight, Norm Macdonald. I really didn't have a lot of thoughts. I am not a pop culture, if that's even the right. I just don't know a lot of relevant things about that space. Wanted to let Pete take over. That's what he knows well. One thing I did want to, I can just jump in and say it here. My social media following is mostly sports stuff, and Norm Macdonald, his passing like transcended that. Like, no matter what avenue the person was in, sports or not, people were talking about it. And that says a lot about who he is.
Yeah, we lost a good one, and someone told me something once, and it's kind of, I guess, poignant here is kind of a life thing that there's never going to be more older people than you, always going to be less. Does that make sense? So yeah, you're replacing someone older, and not that he was super old, but all the good ones are gonna eventually go. But big fan of Norm. Big fan of Pete Freedman. Check him out, centraltrack.com. Follow him at Pete Freedman. Follow at Central Track on Twitter and the Instagrams. And I think we need to. We're gonna skip the news and finish our sports here.
Yeah, well, week 2 of the NFL season. Last week we picked our division winners, and this week I think we're going to pick the rest of the way, right?
Right. So let me get our spreadsheet up. You'll stop seeing me.
And you can see Adam's elite typing skills.
Yes. You see my screen?
Yes, I got it.
All right. So we've picked our AFC and NFC division winners. So we need to get through the wild card. There's 3 wild cards, right? Yeah.
2, 3.
3. I think they got a 17 format, 1 bye week.
Okay. Yeah, man, this is going to be difficult for me to remember. Like who I want on each one. Let's see here. Okay, we got 3 wild cards. Are we going to start AFC or NFC?
I think we go AFC, and I think one of the wild cards, do we not have to put either Indy or Tennessee in since we both?
Yeah, well, after today, I'm not sure, but I think just based off of that, we'll just put one of the names down. And
they both started real bad, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Titans beat the Seahawks like right when we were getting on. So.
Oh, they wound up winning. All right, so.
Yeah, they won that game in overtime.
I just can't see the Texans lost again, or they lost, or they won again.
The Texans lost. They lost to the Browns.
Okay. Oh yeah, and it was kind of close. Man, Baker Mayfield just doesn't look great. He looks okay. Like
No.
if he was playing in 1994, I think he would be good. But so yeah, I still think Indy and Tennessee are gonna. Heck, I don't know if one will come out as a wild card. One will win the division.
Yeah.
Let's take it off. Take it off.
All right. I'm not even gonna go wild card. The Cowboys beat this team today. Sorry, my live reaction. My phone went off. Live reaction to me getting scared of my own phone. I think the Chargers are a playoff team in the AFC. Personally, okay. Really, I think somebody out of the AFC West for sure is, besides the Chiefs, is for sure getting in. The Chargers are 1-1, but the Raiders are 2-0. The Broncos are 2-0. Like one of those 3 teams is getting in the playoffs. In fact, I might take off the Chargers. I might say the Broncos would be out of that AFC West. I didn't really think about that until I started talking. But
I don't know their schedule well enough, but I think they got an easy schedule. They were last place team, weren't they?
I think they were. Yeah, I think they were the worst team in that division.
I don't know. I think the Chargers. Yeah. Do you want to split it, or what do you want to do here?
Well, let's go through the rest of it. So I don't think I'm going to say the Steelers make the playoffs. They're a wild card team to me, barely. And then I think after that, what other division? AFC South. I think I could see 3 teams from the West getting in. Why don't we put the Broncos down? I think Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs. Maybe we're discounting the Raiders a little bit. I don't know if I trust John Gruden to do this over the long haul, but I mean, I think I could see all 3 of those teams getting in.
Yeah, they're 2-0. It was a crazy game against who I think is just not going to be a good Ravens team this year. Who'd they beat today? They beat the Steelers.
No, well, the Raiders beat the Steelers today, and the Ravens are playing the Chiefs right now. I don't know if you said Ravens or Raiders.
They beat the Ravens and they beat the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't even look convincing during the Chiefs. Like, I don't know, their Steelers game. The Steelers didn't look convincing in their win against the Bills, and they didn't look as bad as I thought they did today. I don't know.
So I'm a bit of a homer. The Steelers' offense is very bad. Offensive line, very bad. Ben Roethlisberger, average, very average. And the defense is without 4 starters today, T.J. Watt being one of them. He got hurt during the game. And so they just couldn't keep up. I think the Steelers are going to do enough to get into the playoffs, but just barely. Like, I mean, just because they're 7, they got to put somebody in, right? So I think they're going to do just enough to get barely in. Maybe we're discounting the Patriots and the Dolphins, though I don't know if I'm a Dolphins believer, and I don't know if I'm a believer in the Patriots to do quite enough to get in. I think you're splitting it a little bit there. But anyway, let's move to the NFC.
Okay, so I think the East is going to have one team.
Really? So you don't think Washington or Philly could sneak in there?
No. I don't think Washington's without their quarterback.
Yeah, but Taylor Heineke's not bad. He looked pretty good, and I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick's not that much better. I think I would put Washington, the football team, in the playoffs personally.
Really? All right, I'm gonna put this in here. I want to put a lot of question marks. I'm gonna
They won the division last year.
It's 7-9.
Yeah, I mean,
Dallas could have won it at 6-10 if they'd have lost.
Okay, I'll give you 3 NFC teams. For me, if you need to put a slash for the one that you think in their place, then go right ahead. So, like the AFC West, I think the NFC West, I mean, it has 4 teams that could really, I could see all of them in the playoffs, and they're going to probably beat each other up a little bit. I mean, who are we putting in there with the Rams? Seattle, Arizona, San Francisco.
I could see. So I think Arizona, I think Kyler Murray's a great quarterback. I just feel like I saw it last year. He kind of faded at the end, and I just see him fading at the end. I just kind of just feel like he's going to grind down, just maybe because, and maybe I'm looking at him as a shorter quarterback, but I just kind of see him. He's got the potential to, week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 now, just to be too much for him to stay healthy enough to keep them in it. Not that he's not tough, not that he's not, but just, so I would say San Francisco's the team I trust the most, but I just wonder if they have a quarterback controversy coming.
So, yeah, I'm going to put the Seahawks in. I'm a Russell Wilson believer. So we've got Washington, we've got Seattle.
And I could live with Seattle because I think Russ has the ability to carry a team kind of like Aaron Rodgers does. He's that good that he could take his team.
I mean, the rest of the NFC, we're looking at, what do we think? The Panthers are 2-0, but I don't think either of us would, bet that holds up. Maybe it does. The Saints look really bad today playing the Panthers. Outside of that, nobody in the North, not the Lions, not the Bears. I don't think the Vikings. Are we going to put 3 AFC West, 3 NFC West in the playoffs?
I don't know. I want to comment on the Panthers because I've said for a long time that Darnold is a good quarterback that was put in the worst situation under Adam Gase.
Okay.
And I need to kind of start putting my money where my mouth is with him saying that okay, he's in a better situation, he's in a better system, he's got better coaching, he's got better weapons, he's on a better team, and he looks better. So I am going to, where you have Washington, I'm going to throw in the Panthers.
Well, I think I would agree with you. I think I could put the Panthers, and I could be convinced that they could be a playoff team. I need to see more. It's just been 2 weeks. I need to see more from them to, kind of prove it. They beat the Jets, who stink. They beat the Saints, who are very suspect. So I don't know if I'm not a buyer yet. I think as of today, right now, I think I'm going to put the Cardinals in the playoffs. Cardinals, yeah. Cardinals, Seahawks, and the Rams all making it with the Niners. They've already got a lot of injuries. I think the quarterback thing, who knows? Maybe we're discounting them, but I think that's what I'm going to go with. The Panthers, though, I could certainly, I could be convinced. I think that Washington defense is going to be good enough to get them through it. The East is not very good, so that they're going to get some wins. Taylor Heineke, not terrible. I think they'll do enough to get in the playoffs.
They struggled against the Giants. I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with you on the Cardinals. I'm going to disagree with you on Washington. I'm going to sub Panthers in. Because remember, the Panthers play a suspect Saints again and the Falcons twice. So they have a. I don't think they're going to do anything against the.
That's fair.
Tampa Bay, but I see them a lot like the Broncos. They're playing a last place schedule. Well, no, not a last place schedule, but they're playing an easier schedule. They got the East. It looks like on their schedule, so I think they can beat the Dolphins. I think they can beat New England.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm good with that. So we only really have a couple of. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand it. The Panthers. That's not something that I'm mad about, and you have me questioning Washington a little bit, but I'm going to stick with it for now, and we'll say that they make it through.
Okay, so now here's the big pick, our Super Bowl pick. We're not going to go through all the playoffs. Let's just go. Who's your AFC Super Bowl team?
My AFC Super Bowl team. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Hey, you know what?
Making
I'm
Super Bowl.
100% with you there.
I think the last week was a fluke offensively for them. I think the Steelers' defense is good. I don't think the Bills' offense is that bad. I'm a Josh Allen believer. I think they break through. I'm not, who knows if they're the ones that beat the Chiefs, but I'll take them in the Super Bowl in the AFC. I'll let you go first with the NFC choice.
I'm going to pick a team that just today I've become convinced. And I'm going to go with the Rams.
No kidding. That's what I was going to say too. The Bucs
nice.
have looked awesome. They looked great against the bad Falcons team today. I'm a Rams believer. I don't know who's going to knock off the Bucs, but I think they slip. I think they're bound to have some injuries. They were insanely healthy last year. Really lucky in that department. And I think, not saying that I hope it happens, but that good of luck multiple years in a row just doesn't happen. I think that they will get beat somewhere, and I think the Rams are going to represent the NFC.
So did you know Matthew Stafford, week 1, had his highest individual game quarterback rating of his career?
I did not know that. It's actually kind of surprising. And I guess it's not because the Lions franchise is a dumpster fire, but it is a little bit.
All right, so who are we picking? Super Bowl, whatever, 59? I don't know what number we're on, but
I don't know. It's a good question.
Bills, Rams.
I am going to take... Man, this is tough as of today. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. No, I'm not, because they're playing at their home stadium. I'll take the Bills to win the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen 2 years in a row. Rams at their home stadium, just like the Bucs did last year. I'll take the Bills to win it all.
That's where I was going. Bills. As you can see, I'm using my editing skills to highlight the Bills are the Super Bowl winners for the 2021 football season. And yeah, I concur. All right, we did pretty good. I think we only a couple.
We may not agree on Q-tips, but we mostly agree on NFL teams.
There we go. Let me jump back in here because I forget how to do this.
I always see it like double of myself for a second when you do this. I see myself on your screen, and I see myself like it shows me. So it's always kind of weird.
Hey, I'm back.
There we go.
All right. Well, this show ran a little longer than I expected. Pete was great for joining us. You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I don't have anything else. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy the last week or maybe 2 or 3 or however long we have of summer weather, because the high today was 97 and it's September 19th. So get out in the pool while you still have a chance.
Yes, very hot out there. I want to thank our sponsors, Rodeo Coffee, Local Menace, Ish Beard Works is a sport the hat, and till we see you again, stay above average.
Oh my god, that man is well below average.